Hello everybody. Today the discussion or the lecture will be delivered on the topic management. This management is an optional subject for the UPSC, for state PCS, either in colleges, studied in colleges, in MBA, BBA, or somewhere in commerce also. This management topic has to be studied, and in universities the course curriculum of the universities is also having this subject as well. Or practically if you'll see, or realistically if you'll see, behaviorally if you'll see, so this thing we will notice in the day-to-day life with day-to-day activity in the different organizations, in all the organizations, wherever these things apply. So we are with I am with the Learning Education Center. Via the platform of this Learning Education Center, the discussion here will go with the management topic or the management chapter or management subject. In UPSC will primarily focus, then that management is having two papers basically. This first paper, that will be first paper is of for this first paper, that is having principles and human aspects of management. So what are the different principles, what are the theories which are involved with this management, how to deal, because every organization, every company, every university, every institution, every place, every organization whatsoever it may be has management. Everything has a what? Every firm or proprietary that has a management. Then management is there, definitely there are some rules which governs that management. Human aspects is also there with that management also. Because the human beings are also with the what management, definitely they are going to have some aspects, they are having thinking behavior, their directions, their decisions, way of doing, way of conduct. So these are supposed in the human aspects. So what are the principles which governs management is what, first of all, if you will say this is called managerial function. So what are the different managerial functions we will discuss in the paper number 1, which is having mostly primarily with the principles and human aspects, in which there are topic which is called to be as managerial functions and organizational behavior. In short, it is called OB. And human resource management, it is also called HR. Human resource management. In Hindi, it is also called Manav Sansadhan Prabandhan, it is called. In Hindi, management is called, collectively management is called Prabandhan. So, what Prabandhan has to do, by what principle has to do, by what theory has to do, by what way to do, what decision has to be taken in what time, how to drive any organization, how to motivate, how to recruit, how to plan for any work, how to have a planning and how to formulate that planning, that all comes under this management study. So principle and human aspect, which is having first managerial function. This managerial function is having what? Inside this classical to modern. The thinkers which are related to this management, they will come under this, let us suppose with the managerial what function? Classical to modern. So there may be some classical thinkers, traditional thinkers, old thinkers, conventional thinkers, and definitely modern thinkers, new thinkers, or we will say neo thinkers, neo thinkers. So if different thinkers, if many thinkers are there, they will what deliver, they will apply, or they will just deliver and just put different theories as per their working experience, as per their working style of doing. So classical and modern, that really comes under this managerial function, as well as planning. Everything, suppose there is an objective in this organization, suppose there is an organization having some amount of let us suppose they just manufacture any product. So the main object is to manufacture the product and is to market the manufacturing products and items, and definitely what? to gain the monetization, to gain the profit, to earn the profit so that the firm or the organization runs smoothly. So by this way we will do, or an organization needs to do planning initially. Any kind of planning, by what way to do, what is the drafting to do the work. So what are the following procedures that has to be applied to do any kind of, to complete with what objective it may be. So this is all comes under the managerial functions. Now this organizing, because every organization needs to organize the things. However, let us suppose some resources are there needed, and those resources needs to be organized. Either that may be human resource, that may be human personal resource, or any kind of physical resource. Materialistic resource, that needs to be organized. What are the different decisions? After it, what will be the effect and consequences of those decisions to gain the objective? So that all comes under organizing, and it will studied under this managerial functions. A manager or the person who has managed his team, or the person who is supposed to be the team leader, definitely needs to organize this, and it should have the organizing behavior, it should have the organizing characteristics and properties, so that he will deliver, or he will deliver, that person will deliver the managerial functions definitely. Then controlling is also a key aspect of this managerial function. So this all comes under this managerial function, and which is also part of principal and human aspects. So next is what organizational behavior. What kind of behavior should be followed in an organization? By what way to follow? What behavior will do, and what will be the effect of that behavior? Either that may be formal structure or whatsoever structure, and by what way the working procedure would be that organizational behavior, that is called to be in short OB. Inside this we have individual behavior. Individual behavior means an employee behavior, employer behavior whatsoever. Either it may be an or management behavior individually. So what that means, that concludes planning, that concludes learning, how much it is, how much the learning is there, how much the planning is there, how much before delivering any task, what kind of planning it has to accomplish, or to accomplish with the objective timely. So planning and learning, and definitely motivation. So motivation is also very important to aim or to frame the objective so smoothly. That will comes under individual behavior, and definitely leadership theories. So what are the different leadership theories? What are the different leaders that may, or different key personas who are related with the organizational behavior? So they just said, or they just quote their experiences. So this thing will study under this leadership theories. That what is the Maslow hierarchy need? So what is the Abraham Maslow hierarchy need? So what is basically what is physiological needs? What is social needs? And definitely what is psychological needs? What is self-esteem? Definitely one must know this. That all comes under, for example, this leadership theory. And this leadership theory will comes under the sub-bullet of what? Organizational behavior, which is also a part of either principles and theories, which needs to be addressed for the effective management and for the human aspect, for controlling and for showing, reflecting the human aspect. Now what next is human resource management. That is in short supposed to be as the HRM, and definitely in this human resource management, that the recruitment is there, how to recruit the personnel in an organization, what recruitment, by what way is to recruit, that is to be done by this human resource management, and definitely by what terms and conditions the recruitment would be there, in what way, in what time, in what passage of time, in what procedure, okay, what every step that comes, and then training and placement also, that will also part of this human resource and management. Look, every organization needs training and what different personal trainings, different certifications for their skill improvement or upgradation. So that if the skill would be upgraded, if the skill would be increased, enhanced, then definitely there may be a chances to get what? To get motivation for completing the objective for which the organization is made or composed or comprised. or constituted or established. So this is what performance appraisal. Definitely every employee has what performance appraisal. Everybody has performance. Not even though employees, not a working personnel, even though everything also, every article, every objective, every purchasing order, every kind of things. At the very last of in the closing year, or at the very last, or in between, whatsoever, in between, so that needs performance appraisal. So what would be the effect of anything, what would be the effect of some product, what would be the effect of some manufacturing item or manufacturing article object, so that the cost, the services which is rendered by any of the organization, and that would be monitored by the management, so that the performance during the performance appraisal. So performance appraisal tells only what? Tells mainly the performance, how the working personnel they are performing to deliver their efforts in the organization, and that has to be noticed. And this management study will do. Compensation. So what are the different compensation mechanisms? Let us suppose somebody is getting to retire, somebody is getting to have its complete services. So it is having what the amount of what needs to be given, and definitely suppose there will be some casualty in between. So what insurance that has to be done. So otherwise, in between the different schemes which are related for the upgradation of the employer whatsoever, working personnel, working force. So that compensation needs to be there. What would be the compensation? Either would be given to the what? To the consumers or to the clientele of any of the organization. That will be also be monitored by this management. Definitely compensation, and that will be sub-bulleted into human resource management. So, if you will recall, this paper number 1 basically deals with the principles, human aspects. In this, managerial function is there, organizational behavior is there, human resource management is there. So here we have paused the corp. Let us suppose planning, organizing, staffing, planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and then coordination, recruitment, and then like this. So this is paused corp. This is paused corp. We will say this is also a theory, and how to do that with the manager. Any manager or any management must know this also. So what is the 14th principle of Henry Fayol? Henry Fayol was basically a scientific thinker. It was a scientific thinker, and he just made a bridge between a coordination between science and what humanity. And definitely this Henry Fayol gave it in its 14 principles, that what are the different 14 principles which govern any of the management or manager has to be done. So what are those 14 principles? Let us suppose division of work. So there will be outcomes. What would be the outcome? What would be the output of any of the things? What would be the division of work? There should be a division of work, so that the decentralization of work has to be established. If suppose somebody will do all the works, definitely inefficiency will come in the work. To address that inefficiency, there will be a division of work. Division of work ensures the decentralization of work and will increase or boost the optimization and efficiency. So this division of work is also a one principle out of this 14 principle. Then authority and responsibility. Who is the authority? What are the different responsibilities of all personnel in an organization? That is to be delivered in this 14. However, we will have a lecture on this 14 principle of Henry Fayol, about this management, about the managerial functions, about the manager role. And next is what? Discipline. Everybody and every person, mostly everything which needs most of the discipline for this, to address unity of command. Unity of command means there will be a hierarchy. There will be a hierarchy one needs to follow. Also there will be a unity of command. Command with unity will also say. And definitely what? Unity of direction. There will be a unity of direction, so that one person is getting to direct and all now listening. However, they are increasing the feedback also. They are increasing the different recommendations from time to time, their suggestions, but directions would be also very channelized, so that the effective objective should be effectively addressed in full frame of time. And definitely superordination of individual interests, thereof remuneration. Compensation should be fair and provide with good amount of things. So this remuneration is also inside this 14 principles of Henry Fayol. If these things will be complete, then any of the individual or workforce or personnel will feel like satisfied by doing work in any of the organization, and that is also studied in this management subject also. Next, centralization is there and a scalar chain is there, order of the hierarchical attire and equity to increase profit, equity and stability of tenure of personnel. Personnel should be given the stability of tenure so that they will work so smoothly without any fear. So like this way, this is stability of tenure of personnel. That is to be also noticed in this 14 principles of Henry Fayol. Initiatives, that is called innovatives. So what are the different new things which is coming inside this, that will comes under this initiative. And aspirate de corps will generally say like management should harmony, morale, team spirit with workforce. So like this, management should increase the workforce, team spirit and increase motivation. That motivation may be monetary, that may be verbal also, that may be through exercises, that may be through different activities in between, different giving some kind of engagement also. So that kind of things create motivation. Now what are basically the core principles of human conduct, like justice, human aspect that would be done by justice, fairness, beneficence and non-maliciousness. So these are some of the things which comes under this paper number 1 if we will discuss. And now paper number 2 we will see. So paper number 2 basically deals with financial management. Financial management here means capital budgeting, because any of the organization or management has to know, or any of the organization will deal with what? With work with capital or money. Without money, without revenue, the work will not be there, will not be channelized. So definitely capital budgeting. So there is a capital, either infused capital or earned capital whatsoever, earned revenue. That capital would be what? Budgeted before investing, that should be budget, and that needs planning to budget. So before investing in whatever there is a need or requirement of any organization, it needs to be planned as before. So that is why capital budgeting will be studied in financial management. And definitely dividend policy. So what is the different dividend policy one must address will be studied in this financial management. And financial derivative, what are the different financial derivatives, or what are the derivatives means forms or the parts which is coming inside this finance only. So what are the different financial derivatives which comes under this financial management, that will study in paper number 2 of the management. Now next, marketing management. Any of the product, any of the manufacturing article, item or object, that needs marketing, that needs marketing behavior to sell upon. It will be only sell because after having some at least marketing was done. Okay, whatever good the product may be, it needs to channelize with some marketing techniques or tactics. So that is why what is the targeting? It needs to prove with the targeting. Who are the targeting clients? Who are the targeting customers on which any organization has to focus to sell or for the purchase of its product. So definitely, and this called productive strategy. For that sake, one must increase the strategy, that one must needs to address some set of working procedures. That is called to be as product strategy. So this will all comes under this marketing management. Now next is what called to be as operational management. Now what is this operational management seems to be? So let us suppose there is an investment, there is an manufacturing of any item. Already the item is getting to be manufactured, or product or some article has to be manufactured. That process should be smooth. That should be smooth. After production, after channelizing, that should be smooth. So that the demand and supply should be addressed. There also, the demand and supply that should be addressed. That is seems to be under this operational management. So for that sake, production must be keep into mind. So that the product should be produced simultaneously at a very smooth way, because if it needs to supply immediately, it should be produced immediately, so that the demand and supply profile and curve, that has to be balanced, and that will be ensured by the production focusing on emphasizing on this production, and that would be a part of this operations management. And definitely quality control, what kind of quality that product has, any product has what kind of quality, because once any article or object that can be used by any client or any customer or any clientele, it will only rely upon the quality of that product. If that quality will be ensured, then definitely there will be a demand and there will be supply for that, production will be continuous. So this will be done via this operational management. And what PERT analysis and CPM analysis is also a part. There are some techniques, PERT analysis and CPM techniques, for which or on which this operational management has to focus. Now, what are the target, what are the different what are the strategic management? What is strategic management? Means a management which is done via having some strategy. For that strategy will focus to increase or to develop or to come to absolutely complete the objective of the organization. That is called to be a strategic management. Now, what is management? Management information system. Management information system generally done with the digitalization or any kind of information. This management has to do with its system, either that data system, data structure, DBMS, or either ERP. Now everything will be rolled on some internet via the means of ERPs, via the means of softwares and all. So that will all consider, or the e-services, that all belongs to this management information system. So this is all about, this is about the management subject as an UPSC or state PCS syllabi as an optional subject. However, that subject may be a interest, that may be a cause of interest for the presentations, for lecture meetings, for debates, and for college and university study curriculum, college curricula, and that will be also part of that curriculum as well. However, this video, this session is useful for all these things, either in schools also, that will be teacher in real life, that has to be practiced in whatever we'll say, whatever we'll do, if there is no gap in between. So that needs to address these things, to study these things, to look upon, to research upon these things. Definitely that will come under this management. However, in this management topic, in this management lecture or lecture series, we will discuss, we will do upon this next time 14 principles of Henry Fayol in detail. In detail, we will also discuss human aspects, step by step we will do, and this all learning will be done in the channel of or via the means of what? Learning Education Center and Learning Education Center definitely is an what educational unit of Learning Education Private Limited, and I am here, P.hd Scholars, which is going to deliver this lecture on this management topic. However, we will continue with the remaining of the topics as well in the near future.